Thank you very much. I want to join our admissions dean, our great admissions dean, Jeff Savrotny, in welcoming you all to this webinar. We meet this morning under very strange circumstances. Let's acknowledge it. We would have ordinarily been inviting you to our fabulous state-of-the-art law building to sit in on classes and talk with students, and we would have served you some food, and you would have looked out of our building at the fabulous views of Baltimore and gotten a real feel for our school in 3 dimensions. Well, we can't do that. We all know why. And we're doing our best to show you the kind of law school we are and to talk to you about our law school. And I want to say that I appreciate all of you for participating in this webinar. This is a time when some might want to just curl up into a ball and pull the covers over your head. But I know by the fact that you're here talking to us and listening to us about our law school, you're moving forward with your life. You're figuring out how you're going to advance your career. And law school is obviously an important step. And so your participation in this tells me that you're the kind of students who we would love to have at the University of Baltimore. Strong, resilient, ready to overcome whatever obstacles appear. And there are some obstacles. We are at this moment an online law school, and I'll talk more about that in a second. Most of us are sheltering at home. You've given Jeff Savrotny and I an occasion for putting on our suit and feeling professional, and we're glad about that. But for the most part, we're, like all of you, managing to carry out our duties from our homes. I want to talk to you this morning, and as Jeff said, I'll be with you for about a half an hour, and I'll leave plenty of time for questions. But what I want to do is tell you about our law school and tell you why I think it would be a fabulous place for you to come, to attend, and learn about the law and become licensed to become lawyers. To start off, we're going to show a video that we call our YUB video. It kind of is an overview of the law school and what we think of as its strengths and assets. And then after the video, I'll come back into the frame and elaborate on some of those points. And as I said, be prepared to answer your questions about the University of Baltimore. But let's roll the tape.
Law school was very different from undergrad. I came in with a lot of unknowns, but the school was very helpful in having a lot of resources and making the objectives very clear of everything that you need to do to succeed throughout the first year.
I'm originally from Toronto, so when I came here, I really didn't have a network to start off with. But from the moment I came for the first dinner here to today, it's been a community that's been super welcoming, and it's a community that I'm proud to be a part of now, and I want to continue to develop my participation and grow my connections further.
There's never been a time where I felt like I couldn't go to a professor or any other faculty member that I encountered with any questions or concerns I had. Everyone was always available and willing to help any way that I possibly could need them.
Something I was nervous about was the fact that law school is competitive. But at the end of the day, when I am in this building, I know that I have the support of all of my classmates and all of my professors, and that we're all striving for the same goal. And that's something that I think is unique to the University of Baltimore and is something that I know without a doubt has changed my legal career.
Our law school is both practical and deeply grounded in legal theory. It's very important for students to understand the building blocks of the law. What is the Constitution about? Where do the rules of civil procedure and criminal procedure come from? What's the theory behind those laws? How are laws made? But very soon, our students are taking those building blocks and applying them through actual hands-on activity.
University of Baltimore's clinics allow you to understand that you're impacting real people, you're impacting real families. So I think it makes you take a sense of pride in your work, makes you understand the importance of your work, makes you put a lot of effort into your work. A lot of jobs value that type of experience. A lot of jobs see that you were a part of that University of Baltimore clinic and say, hey, you know what? We know you coming out of law school, you're prepared to handle real clients. As far as the organizations here, if you have an interest in it, it's probably here. Whether it be a cultural group or an interest group of something that you want to study, I think that UB has a great deal of that.
Baltimore is a very close-knit legal community, quite candidly, but it's a large market because you have Baltimore, you have DC. We can practice law in a number of venues here. You can have a solo practice, it could be thriving. We have lots of corporate headquarters that are located here in the metropolitan area, so it could be corporate counsel. You could work for governmental entities. The Justice Department has a wonderful internship and externship, so there are a variety of practice settings that are available to law students if they choose to come here. I think UB Law School, how it's known in the community, it has a wonderful reputation. We have a great new facility. Many of our students go on to be members of the judiciary, to be members of state government, to be corporate counsel. So it's just a great, thriving place to be.
A lot of the practitioners, judges, lawyers are UB alumni themselves. And the professors take the opportunity to bring the students into that legal community and open doors for us and create network connections that have been fundamental for myself and many other students.
UB alumni stand out of the crowd because they have a practical knowledge of the law. They took advantage of this time to build their network, to build their intelligence, to build their skill, and ultimately build it in a way that a firm can use and that a judge can use.
So the school itself is in the Mount Vernon neighborhood. It's a great neighborhood to live. There's plenty of residential apartments, condos, and plenty of rentals around. Within walking distance of the campus, there's plenty of opportunities to experience the arts and the culture of the city, as far as having the Lyric Opera House here, the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, the Walters Art Museum is a few blocks south of the campus as well, very close to even going all the way to downtown, to the Inner Harbor, to Fells Point. So there's a lot of stuff to do and see, for sure.
At the end of the day, what UB does is it creates an environment where all the tools to your success are here.
I hope you had an opportunity to get a feel for the physical plant of the law school, and certainly you had a chance to hear from our students and alumni about what they see as the strengths of our law school. And I want to elaborate on that now. And let me start first by introducing myself. I've been Dean of the University of Baltimore School of Law for the past 8 years. I came from Washington, D.C., where I was Assistant Attorney General in the prior administration in the Justice Department. I'd been a partner in a law firm. I'd been a local prosecutor. I'd worked in a federal agency, and I'd worked on Capitol Hill. And the reason that my career is kind of relevant here is that most law school deans come from the academy. They work their way up from being professors to being assistant deans, associate deans, and then the dean. But University of Baltimore chose me from the world of legal practice, reflecting the kind of school that it is. We are a very practical law school. We're very much a part of legal practice here in the state of Maryland and the wider region. The way in which we are integrated into that community was well stated by Judge Pramila Brown in that video. She spoke about the fact that so many of the graduates of the University of Baltimore are leaders in this legal community. More than a third of the judges in the state of Maryland are UB graduates. Many of the law firm partners and leaders of government agencies, nonprofits, corporations, are graduates of our law school. And they participate in the education of our students, and they help our students begin their careers with internships, externships, clerkships, and ultimately jobs. So we're very much part of the fabric of this legal community and have a reputation, as you heard in that video, for being the practical law school, for being the school that teaches people how to be successful, ethical, effective, practicing lawyers. And we're very proud of that reputation. We've been doing that for almost 100 years, and we're going to keep doing it. Let me get right to what may be foremost in your minds, is how are we doing this in the age of the COVID-19 pandemic? We were able to, I'm very proud of our faculty and staff. The law school was able to make a transition almost overnight, really within a week, I would say, to becoming an online law school, as we had to be, because of course we are under government restrictions. We've had to close our building, and we're not permitted to gather for ordinary classes. So we're now functioning as an online law school. All classes are being offered through internet platforms like this one. I've been teaching this semester, and so I, for example, have been teaching my seminar using Zoom and interacting with my students through the internet. Other professors are using other platforms. All of the functions of the law school, the business of the law school, is completely open through these online platforms. The library is open. The career office is helping students manage their professional development. The Office of Academic Affairs is counseling students. And as you can see, our admissions office is recruiting the incoming class. So we're very proud of what we've done, and I think it's been effective. But believe me, we would much rather see you in person. I'd much rather have a chance to shake your hand and talk to you in a different kind of setting and have you see our great building up close and be able to walk around and step outside to some of the balconies and look, for example, at Penn Station, which is just across the street from our law school. We expect and hope that in the fall we will be in person. We're, for the rest of this semester, online. Our summer classes are going to be offered online, which is something that we would generally do in any event because many students are working during the summer and want to be able to access classes in a remote format. But in the fall, we hope to be in person. However, we're preparing for all possibilities, as everyone in this environment should. And so if necessary, we could begin the semester online. We might be prepared to shift from a live format to an online format. And one way or another, we're going to deliver the quality legal education that UB has been delivering to students for almost 100 years. We'll do it with great energy and great commitment. And we know that our students will join this effort because it does present a lot for students to do to be part of this in a focused, attentive way. Let me say a little bit about our academic program. In the first year of school at the University of Baltimore, you'll learn the building blocks, as I said in that video. And that's both the doctrinal building blocks, civil procedure, contracts, torts, property in the second semester, constitutional law in the second semester. But we're also teaching you the skills, writing skills, advocacy skills, negotiation skills, and professionalism. And we weave it together in a way that has been very effective for our students for many years. Our full-time faculty, who are nationally renowned, are involved in all aspects of the first-year education. They're teaching writing, they're teaching research. We don't outsource this, as some schools do, to people who are not part of our faculty. Our full-time faculty are doing this work. And you progress through the first year, which is very regimented, whether you're in the full-time day program or the part-time evening program. And I'd be glad to speak more about the evening program for those who are interested. And you get to that first summer. And then we have something called the Explore program, in which we guarantee every law student at the University of Baltimore a placement in a law office during that first summer. So you don't have to go back to being a barista at Starbucks, which you may not be able to do at the moment. But you get to be in a judge's chambers. You get to be working in a law firm. You get to work in a nonprofit organization or a state's attorney's office or the office of the public defender, even in your first summer of law school. By the time you get to your second year, you're beginning to forge your own path. And you may decide to specialize in one area of the law or another. So there are different tracks, concentration tracks, for those who are interested in family law or criminal law or intellectual property or business law. You have an opportunity to participate in our nationally renowned clinics. This is where you're actually practicing law under the supervision of very trained faculty, representing clients, vulnerable clients, because that's a service that we provide to this community, in any one of more than a dozen areas: immigration law, community development, low-income tax work, family law, criminal law, and so forth. And you have the opportunity to work outside the law school in externships for credit, again, being supervised by practicing lawyers, getting credit for it, and coming back into the law school to reflect on that experience under the supervision of faculty. When you're ready to graduate, I'm confident that you will have the skills that you need, and you will have developed the network that you need to succeed professionally, because so many practicing lawyers and judges are coming through the school to meet students. You've had the opportunity to participate in activities, some pro bono activities, sometimes for credit, in this legal community. And so our job placement statistics are very, very strong. And as I said, our students very quickly become leaders in this legal community. We're part of a university here, the University of Baltimore, and you can take classes across the street in the business school, in the College of Public Affairs, in the College of Arts and Sciences. You have an opportunity to interact with students who are studying these other things. And one of the best features of our law school, and this is an intangible thing, I'm going to say it and you've got to take my word for it, is our very student-focused culture. We are very supportive. This is not the kind of environment where people are elbowing each other out of the way to get opportunities. Instead, your classmates are going to be your best assets. They're going to help you succeed. They're going to be your colleagues throughout your legal career. The professors are available to students in every way. Even in this online format, professors are having office hours and chatting with students through Skype and other kinds of internet platforms. The staff, administration, my colleagues in the Dean Suite are available to you in every way. There's good academic support to prepare you when it's time to take the bar exam. And so in every way, we want to make sure that you're on track for success because we take pride in your success. And we take pride in the people who graduate from this law school and go on to become pillars of this legal community and the civic community. Baltimore, as you heard in the video, is a very exciting place to live and to go to law school. It's got many challenges. You've heard about those challenges. The education system, the criminal justice system are ripe for reform, and there are reforms underway that we in the law school are very much a part of through our clinics and through our classes and our faculty members' involvement. So you would have an opportunity, for example, to participate in the Center for Family, Children, and the Courts, where you'd be in the Baltimore City Public Schools working with school children. You'd have an opportunity to work, for example, in our Center on Sport and the Law, where we have excellent relationships with the Baltimore Ravens and the Baltimore Orioles and collegiate athletic programs around the state. And students have an opportunity to begin to forge their path in that field. So through our centers, through our clinics, and through all of the faculty involvement, you'll have an opportunity to not just learn the law, but to sample the law, to begin to practice the law. And I'll just say this in conclusion before I open it up for questions. I've been a lawyer for almost 40 years, and I've loved it. It's a license to help people. It's an opportunity to challenge yourself, to call upon your best self in service of your fellow citizens, in service of people who need your assistance, who need you to guide them through the complexity of the law. And there are so many ways that you can do that. You may come into law school with one idea about what you want to do, and you'll emerge with 5 or 7 other possibilities, and we'll help you narrow it down. But I think you'll find the experience invigorating and energizing and challenging. And in this environment, it'll call upon you especially to use your skills to succeed, and we're going to help you succeed. So let me stop there and open it up for any questions. I think Jeff is going to moderate the questions and read them from the chat, and I'll field them, and then we'll move on to other panelists.
Okay, we do have one question concerning the fall semester, and if UB decides to go online, the law school, when would that decision be made? People are looking at making decisions about housing and other practical matters.
Right. Look, this is tough. We don't know. We're a state law school, which means we're very much guided by the restrictions and the plan for reopening that's produced by our state government. Our governor, Larry Hogan, just yesterday unveiled his plan for reopening the institutions here in Maryland. And he anticipates that we'll be able to gradually and cautiously move into live interaction in the coming weeks and months. Clearly, we need to apprise people if we're going to stay online. We need to know that, as you say, in terms of housing and so forth. So I expect we would make that kind of judgment early in the summer and apprise you as prospective students when we make that decision. But our plan, I want to emphasize this, our plan is to be live. I want to see you in person. I want to welcome you. You know, they say we can't shake hands anymore. So instead, I'll kind of offer a bow to you as you're walking into school on that first day. And if for some reason we can't do that, we'll make an early announcement so that you can plan your lives sensibly. And that doesn't mean that you don't attend law school. To the contrary, we can do it like this if we have to. But obviously there are practical aspects of it, and we'll make a decision and apprise you of it as soon as possible.
So there we go. So there's a question concerning bar preparation and any changes in programming and staffing.
Look, we've worked, the bar exam has changed in recent years. In Maryland, we've adopted the uniform bar exam, which is a national bar exam. It provides for more reliable testing And it's testing something different than the old Maryland exam. The old Maryland exam was testing kind of quirky features of Maryland law. And it's much better to test in a national way, looking at who has the analytic skills to succeed as a lawyer. We've made adjustments to our curriculum to make sure that you're well prepared for this new bar exam. And there are courses in the curriculum that are specially designed to help you do that. We have a director of bar success. That position is in transition now, and the individual who be guiding you as incoming students when you're ready for the bar in 3 or 4 years will be someone who's well situated to help you prepare in every way, both test-taking strategies, studying habits, and to make sure that you know what to expect when you come to the bar exam. I'd encourage questions. I know, in person, here's a trick I do. When we gather in person for this kind of preview event, I often reach a couple of people during the coffee and pastries beforehand and ask them to be ready to ask a question to break the ice. They didn't have that opportunity today, but I'd encourage you to do that. So
we have more questions. We have 3 more questions. So again, about the fall semester, if we start online, how do you think that will hinder the students with regard to the Socratic method and peer study groups, et cetera?
It's remarkable how good the technology is at permitting interaction and how creative our professors have been in establishing ways in which to interact. Some of the classes are being offered in a very synchronous format like this, where the professor is talking to students, and unlike this, students have the opportunity to talk back. Obviously, with this many participants, it's not so practical to have that kind of live give and take. But for smaller classes, and we do try to keep those classes as small as possible, including that core Introduction to Lawyering Skills class in the first year, which would be in the range of 20 or 22 students. So there, we'd have live synchronous interaction through the internet. For larger classes, it occurs through sites like Twen, where we can establish exercises that enable students to work with each other and with the professor. These internet platforms allow for breakout rooms. I'm sure you've seen that. Some of you are still in college and probably are taking classes like this, where the professor can split people up into groups to work in smaller groups and then come together for reports of the small group interactions. One way or another, the professors know how important it is for students to participate. That's part of the education. And we ensure that that's going to happen for you, even if it has to be in a remote format.
Okay, so I'll answer the next question, which is concerning financial aid. If you have a change in your financial aid, it should be reflected within a week. It's done through another office. And if anytime you have any questions concerning your financial aid, you can contact the Office of Law Admission. It's much easier just to address those individually. Also, the question about being an evening student, we do have a student life panel, and I think it's best to come from the student affairs folks to answer that, and from the current students to answer the question about being an evening student. But then if you have any specific questions, you can call me, because I was an evening student.
And Jeff, can I say a word? Let me just say a word about the evening program from the perspective of the law school administration. The evening program was the beating heart of the University of Baltimore. For many years, we were only a part-time program. When we started in 1925, the brochure says, for the working men and women of Baltimore. So it's been a big part of this law school for many years. And while 3/4 of the students are full-time day students, it's still a very healthy 25, 27% of the class that takes classes in the evening. And we do everything we can to make sure that it's just as enriching an experience. So we do our best to bring in guest speakers in that twilight hour before evening classes and after day classes so that everybody gets to participate. We rotate the professors through the evening program to make sure that you're getting the benefit of our fabulous faculty. So you're not second-class citizens. To the contrary, it's very much a part of who we are at the University of Baltimore.
Yes. And just a reminder, try to use the Q&A feature and not the chat feature for your questions. So another question about the bar exam is, with the uniform bar exam, does Maryland have reciprocity with other states now?
So the great thing about the uniform bar exam, and I should say I was on the panel that advised the highest court in Maryland, the Court of Appeals, to adopt the uniform bar exam. I saw it as advantageous to our students, not only because the testing will be more reliable, but also because a score on the Uniform Bar Exam is portable. That means you can take it to another UBE jurisdiction, and more than half of the states now are using the Uniform Bar Exam. And if your passing score in Maryland is at or above the passing score in a state like New York or Massachusetts, then you can automatically be admitted to that state. So this really has opened up opportunities for students to travel beyond Maryland for those who want to, including the District of Columbia, which is the UBE state. Yeah, it's not a state, but it's a jurisdiction.
So one of the questions about the evening program, how much time is expected to spend preparing for class the following day? And is it possible to be evening with a full-time job?
Yes, is the short answer to that, and Jeff can speak very well to this since he went through the evening program. But it's designed explicitly for individuals who have full-time jobs and then come to school at night. I so admire the people who do it because it really requires a lot of stamina and focus, but the people who do it have great discipline and come out well prepared for the rigors of legal practice. But it's designed specifically so that you can work during the day and then come to school at night. The classes are offered 4 nights a week, Monday through Thursday, roughly in a 6 to 9 p.m. kind of time frame. And then some classes are offered at other times. There, especially in the second and third year, there's an opportunity to take classes on the weekend. More and more, I should say, we're integrating this kind of internet technology into classes. So even if we're back in a live format, some of the learning occurs online. Some of the lectures and assignments occur online, and you can do that when you have time. You'll figure out your day. Also, as you go on in your legal career, in your law school career, there's a great deal of flexibility. We are ensuring that you have the opportunity to adjust your schedule. There'll be evening students who, for different reasons, want to take 1 or more classes during the day, and vice versa. Day students who may be working some because they're in externships or have part-time jobs, and they want to take a particular class in the evening. So we do allow for that kind of flexibility, and it's a very, I think, useful feature of our law school.
So there are a few questions dealing with if we are online, and I can just give those answers. In the summer, even though we'll be online for the summer, we've already made that decision. We're not a credit, no credit system in the summer. Students will receive grades like they would in any traditional semester. And if we need to be online in the fall, the same would be true for the fall. So there'll be no changes to grading structure.
Yeah, let me elaborate on that. The faculty made a decision that this semester, because of the sudden transition to online learning, it was appropriate to move to a credit, no credit grading system, and many law schools around the country did the same thing. It's just not fair because not all students have the same technology at home, not all students have the same circumstances. There are students with school-age children running around in the background, or spouses who may have lost employment and students are facing financial challenges. And so for this semester, we decided credit, no credit grading was appropriate. But because we're in a position to prepare for the summer and fall with classes that we know will be administered in a smoother way, we are confident that we can move back to the traditional grading. And that assessment that you get from letter grading is part of what we're offering you. We're offering you the chance to excel, and we challenge you to excel. So that's that. I should also say, we're the kind of law school that recognizes the challenges that students have faced in this environment. We've created a fund, an emergency fund, with some generous grants and support from alumni to help students through this difficult period. I'd like to think that's the kind of law school that we are. We recognize that our students are facing these difficulties, and we're trying to support them.
So there are a number of questions, again, dealing or concerning social distancing and class sizes, and will that affect that? And I think that from the admissions perspective, in terms of incoming class size, we're going to probably have 230 or so students. We're going to adjust as necessary with social distancing on the admission side. But Dean, anything else to add about that?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and points to kind of another permutation here. While we may be live in the fall, there would still be precautions, public health precautions that must be adhered to. And we're working through how to do that. So for example, let's say there's a 20-person class, your Introduction to Lawyering Skills class. We might put that class in a 50-seat classroom so that people can spread out. Or for a larger class, we might stagger attendance so that some students would be there on one day and other students would be there on another day. And of course, we'll be sensible about making masks available, having disinfectant available, so that we can take all the precautions that we should take as responsible citizens in this moment. But that would still be a live format and have all the advantages of that format.
Okay, let's see. So let's use this question here from Shelby. She's admitted to full-time day, but it would be wants to know if it's possible to do part-time for 2 years and then move to full-time.
As I said, there's a lot of flexibility. Jeff can chime in here, he knows it, we do have people who move from one program to the other. You're really you're at a fork in the road when you start your law school education. You have to choose day or evening because there are classes that are for one program or the other. But over the course of your legal career, there's good flexibility. You can shift altogether from one program to the other, or as I said, kind of do it a la carte and take individual classes in the day or evening program, even if that's not the program that you're signed up for.
So I think that's, unfortunately, well, if you're a good dean, we're running a little over, but we can continue. All right, great.
And for these days, I have nowhere else to be. Happy to be with you all.
So one question is about how do out-of-state firms look at UB graduates when hiring compared to law schools in whatever state where that,
Sure. Yeah, good question. Look, our bread and butter is right here in Maryland. As I said, we have a tremendous relationship with the bar and with the judiciary, the law firms and the corporations and nonprofits. And so many of our students choose to stay here. Many are from here, choose to stay here and practice law and take advantage of that network. But we have University of Baltimore graduates throughout the country. I have visited University of Baltimore graduates in California, in New York, in Philadelphia, for example. We have people in Atlanta. We have people throughout the Mountain West, and overseas for that matter. The degree and the license that you get, you can take anywhere. And it's a good education that will serve you well wherever you're practicing. In my experience, where you went to law school, what state you went to law school, becomes less relevant as you continue in your career, because what you're really able to present to prospective employers, 5 years out, 10 years out, is what you've done in those 5 or 10 years. So if you've got a solid education, that's the foundation for what you want to present to prospective employers. And you'll get that solid education here at UB. You'll be fine wherever you are. And I can tell you about the very successful UB law grads who are practicing in San Francisco and practicing in Dallas, Texas, and practicing elsewhere.
Okay, good question is, for each of us, what would you change about UB law?
That's great. Well, at the moment, what I would change is I'd make this damn virus go away so that we could all be together. I guess that's not quite about the law school. It's a bigger ambition. But we're managing through it and doing the best we can. What else would I change at UB Law? God, I know this sounds funny, but I honestly can't think of anything that is a major flaw. I mean, the students who come through are fabulous. The faculty is very strong. We work hard to prepare students for the bar. I would say we could stand to improve our bar passage rate some. Our ultimate pass rate is about 85%. That is to say, people who have passed after a couple of years, but I'd like it to be 100%. So we continue to work on that area. I'd like to make sure that the curriculum is as broad as it might be, and we're very strong in some key areas: family law, criminal law, trial practice, business law. I'd like to see us be stronger in some other areas. And we're bringing in faculty to help with that. For example, we've recently hired a faculty member, a professor named Sonia Jaha, who is an environmental law specialist from California, who's going to come to UB and bolster our program in environmental law. So in particular ways, we're using our opportunity to hire faculty to strengthen our law school. And I'm sure there are other ways in which we could be stronger. But we do a great job with the faculty that we have. And I'm sure you would find the faculty member who is well positioned to assist you in your own personal aspirations.
Okay. Let's see. There are already 2 law schools in Maryland, of course. What sets UB apart from the University of Maryland School of Law?
Okay. Well, I want to say I never trash talk our friends at the University of Maryland. We're collaborators with them in lots of ways. The dean there, Donald Tobin, and I work together on many of these state task forces related to the bar exam and so forth. And there's reciprocity. I don't know if you're aware of this, but UB students are permitted to take classes at the University of Maryland and vice versa. So we're we're up the road. We're up near Penn Station. They're down by Camden Yards, but it's an easy enough bus ride or Uber ride. So you can get down there to take classes if you want. I'd say that the University of Maryland is a little bit more theoretical and we're more practical. We are about rolling up our sleeves and preparing students to practice law. I would say their orientation, their faculty's orientation, might be said to be more theoretical, more about the theory of the law rather than the practice of the law. And I don't say that in a negative way. You may choose that kind of perspective on the law, but the students who come here, I think, are wanting to figure out how to be most effective for their clients in the day-to-day practice of law. And that's what we're known for, and that's what we do.
So there's a question concerning public service loan forgiveness and about eligible folks having their applications rejected.
Yes.
And can you comment on that?
You know, this is something that I've worked on because I used to work on Capitol Hill when this issue, it's really a legislative issue to make sure that that program, which was enacted about 10 years ago, is being administered properly. I sort of volunteered from the law deans community to be talking to members of Congress about it, and I've been involved in making sure that the promise of public service loan forgiveness is fulfilled. The program, for those who don't know, is as follows. If you graduate from, it's not just law school, it really applies to professions across the board, but let's just talk about law school. If you graduate from law school and you go into a government or public interest job, and you stay in that job, not necessarily continuously, because you can piece it together over different stints, but if over the course of 10 years, which is to say 120 months, you make income-based repayments. That is to say, it's a small percentage of your income, which if you're in government or nonprofit work, tends to be smaller, of course. You make that loan repayment. Then at the end of the 10 years, the rest of your debt is forgiven without tax consequence. So it's a very generous government program. Congress, I think, very wisely thought that people who go into public interest and government work should be rewarded in this way. But as the questioner observed, it's been implemented badly, and the current Department of Education has erected barriers to people accessing this program and claiming their benefits. So there are efforts in Congress to fix that, and I've actually personally been involved in some of that to make sure that public service loan forgiveness is available as Congress intended for our students. Oops, Jeff.
The typical Jeff, unmute yourself, as someone is doing leaf blowing outside my house. So there are a few more questions I think that we can get to in the student session. I think that some of them are directed towards academic affairs and the student panel about the evening program and the concentration. So let it come directly from the assistant dean for students or from the students themselves. We're going to go ahead and take a few-minute break. We're going to come back in 3 minutes at 10:15.
Before we depart, let me say goodbye and a final word. as I said at the outset, I really appreciate you all participating in this format. I hope the day comes when I can see you in person, but even in this way, I appreciate the opportunity to connect with you. I personally would look forward to getting to know you, understanding what your goals are in law school and beyond, and assisting you. And I speak for Jeff Zavrodny and all the other people you're going to hear from today. We're here to help you and support you on this very exciting journey of becoming a lawyer. So please give the University of Baltimore a good look as you consider your law school options. We're here to answer any questions. If you have a question specifically for me that doesn't get answered by anybody else today, feel free to email me. My email is rweich@ubalt.edu. I'm available to you in every way to help you make this decision and to help you succeed in your career. So thank you all, and I'll sign off.
Thank you, Dean Weich.